scored. It's Grant who's got the goal from the free kick, and we're heading for extra time now, surely.
Flamingo! It is 2-0, and that now surely seals the K-League title for Jeonbuk Hyundai Motors.
You're listening to the K-League United podcast, proud partner of Football Nation Radio.
Hello, I'm Osmar and welcome to the K-League United podcast. I'm Paul Neat, and joining me is a less jubilant Matthew Binns this week. From the highs of the FA Cup semi-final win last Wednesday to the lows of an Ulsan comeback in the dying embers at the weekend just gone. Matthew, how are you?
I'm, as you mentioned, Paul, I'm a little bit broken. I think, is this what it feels like to support one of the other 11 teams in this league?
The riff of the league, yeah. It must be.
I'm just like,
it is, yeah.
I'm just like the rest of you now. It was a bit of a sucker punch there at the end. It was hard enough to stomach the penalty, one which I'm not going to rant about, but I still swear wasn't really a penalty. And then followed by the late goal. Well, I guess
unbelievable.
They were going to do it at some point, weren't they? And they haven't done it yet, but fair play to them. They have been the better team this year. So.
Yeah, well, it's been an eventful week, eventful game, that one in particular. Hong Jong-ho was sent off on the bench. Kim Sang-shik got another yellow card, so he was suspended for one game. I'm surprised you didn't get a booking as well.
Yeah, no bookings for me. I actually wasn't at the match. I was... well, listeners will be very, very happy to know that I watched it from the side of a road in Seoul on my phone.
There we go.
The ultimate way to end. I was waiting for the firework festival, which a bit of a cheek for Ulsan to get the fireworks started that early. They haven't won it yet, obviously, but I sat watching it at the side of a road and.
Side of the road because Hyundai Motors are broken down. Is that what it is?
Oh. Your words, not mine, Paul. Your words, not mine. But yeah, things are getting tense, as you say. Like a lot of sending offs. Probably should have got Kim Sang-shik on the podcast actually this week because he's not been busy. Maybe he could have done a Kevin Keegan for us.
Hey, maybe you could, and yeah. What was it? But I tell you, you can tell him now if you're watching it. We're still fighting for this title. He's got to go to gang one and get something. And I tell you. Honestly, I will love it if we beat them. Love it. Whatever it is in whatever accent that he would have had. Where's he from, Kim Sang-shik? Is he from Jeonju?
I actually don't want to speculate. I can't remember. But I don't know whether he'll be around in Jeonju for much longer, if that's the case. No, he's from Haenam. He's from Haenam in Jeonnam. So he's been undercover all along.
There you go. Agent Kim. Well, yeah, it's Let's leave that there. There's still the FA Cup to look forward to for Jeonbuk, but we're not going to talk about the FA Cup this week. Instead, we're going to recap K-League 1 round 36 briefly, maybe. We'll look ahead to round 37 coming up at the weekend. Then, also at the weekend, there is K-League 2 round 44. That's the last day of the regular K-League 2 season. And then we've got Big Michael's big weather forecast. But first, some news. Well, not news, because everybody knows now, but the K-League title race isn't over yet. It could have been decided on Tuesday afternoon, for what I'm guessing would have been the first time ever, but it wasn't.
No, Ulsan went to the East Coast Derby on Tuesday knowing that a win. Given that they were now 8 points clear with 2 more games to go after that one, they would have been crowned champions. But yet, Pohang, obviously saying not in our steel yard, they drew 1-1, and the title race continues into this weekend. Jeonbuk are still champions at the moment, but more on that later.
Hanging on there by a thread. But we mentioned it a little bit earlier, the Ulsan versus Jeonbuk game. That was a record attendance post-COVID-19 pandemic. The It was the highest. That was 20,051 people were there at the Munsu for that one. The previous best was the Super Match in round 29, which had 16,333. So, with no masks needed in the stadiums anymore, people are they're going back to the stadiums. They are doing it, and hopefully we'll get back to the sort of figures we had in 2019.
I hope so. It looked really optimistic at the end of 2019, and things were looking on the up. We had full stadiums again, and then obviously the pandemic hit, and it's kind of been a bit of a rebuilding issue, getting those fans back in the grounds. But good to see that people are coming out in force, even if it is to watch Jeonbuk lose.
Or Songnam get relegated, as has been the case.
Yeah, well, that too. Yeah, Songnam, there is other news this weekend. Songnam FC are going to be playing in K-League 2 next season. The inevitable, it's been looking inevitable for a while now. The Magpies have been relegated.
Yes, it was sealed on Sunday after a 1-1 for Sorrow draw with Gimcheon. Songnam actually took the lead in that one. Mulich back in the starting lineup and back amongst the goals, scoring on 29 minutes. But then Kim Kyung-min leveled on 56 for Gimcheon. Songnam had to win that one because Suwon Blue Wings had drawn with FC Seoul earlier in the round, meaning a point wasn't even enough, so it wasn't to be. Songnam will be in the second tier next season. And speaking of the second tier, Gwangju were officially crowned champions and presented with the K-League 2 trophy. They are away on the final day of the season, so they obviously had it in their last home game.
Yeah, credit to our Jungmu Yeol for this one, but in other news, AFC will be allowing Daegu caretaker manager Taewon Kyun to continue, even though he doesn't actually have a P license. Usually a caretaker can only be in charge for 60 days if they don't have the correct license, but special dispensation was given because of the World Cup. That's according to Sports Seoul anyway. K-League are expected to give the same verdict too, meaning Daegu can finish their season with Che in charge.
Yes, and other news, there was a very strange announcement released from Suwon Blue Wings, I think it was on Tuesday, and it said that Yom Ki-hoon's retirement ceremony will be delayed by a year. Does that mean he signed a 1-year contract extension? I mean, the manager, Lee Byung-kyun, had reportedly asked him to stay on for another year. I think this is a teaser to sort of say, we're delaying his retirement ceremony because he's not retiring.
That, or he fancies a crack at the K-League too.
Maybe he does. Yeah.
Maybe he does, yeah. But a bit of a strange announcement. Indeed, exactly.
And well, finally, Son Heung-min, captain of the Korean national team, has questioned player complaints over fixture schedule pileups. He says, we're living our dream. He was speaking to the Evening Standard, and he said it is hard to be honest, traveling and being away from home. It's not easy, but we're born to do this, and everyone dreams about it, so we don't have time to complain.
I don't know how I feel about that one. He probably should come and give K-League a try, to be honest, Paul.
He won't be saying that for too much longer, will he? Yeah, no. Exactly. Right, let's recap round 36, starting with Tuesday's games. The first one in the afternoon, East Coast Derby, Pohang Steelers won, Ulsan Hyundai won. We have already touched on this one already a little bit, but it was a good game. A fair few Ulsan fans also made the trip across, which is great, considering that it was, an ordinary Tuesday working day for most people. Vako gave Ulsan the lead with a very tiny finish at the near post from an On-Won Sang ball in just before half-time. But Lee Ho-jae, he scored his first goal in, about a year. His last goals came on October the 3rd, 2021. He scored 2 against Gwangju in a 3-2 win then, but he scored. Pohang were, very clearly determined not to let Ulsan, obviously their long-time enemies, win the title on their own patch, and that's what happened really. So, but the title could have been won if Jeonbuk had have slipped up against Gangwon, but they did not.
No, they didn't. Jeonbuk manager Kim Sang-sik opted for some rotation in this game, some rotation to the side that lost to Ulsan, but a side that had also won the 5 games prior. Some changes were forced, such as Barrow's 5th yellow card of the season, and Hong Jung-ho getting suspended, as we mentioned, and Kim Sang-sik actually getting suspended. He was not on the sideline for the midweek game. And It set the stage up for backup centre-back Koo Jae-rong to score the game's only goal, heading in a Kim Bo-kyung corner in the 25th minute. Part of the goal, the match was fairly even in some concerning news regarding Kim Min-hwan, who did get subbed off with a injury, but media reports are yet to surface at the time of recording regarding the extent of this injury. The result, as you mentioned, does mean they remain just about in the title race, 6 points behind with 2 to play. Given Gangwon's showing in this, though, you'd have to think Ulsan will barely be troubled and should have the title wrapped up before Jeonbuk kicks their next ball.
Yes, indeed. Well, moving on to the next game, Incheon United 3, Jeju United 1. Superb performance and a great Incheon win. Hong Shi-yu, probably man of the match. He got a goal and an assist, his first of the season in both of the, for both of those.
Mm-hmm.
Then again, so did Kim Min-sok. He got a goal and assist as well. But first goal came with about 27 minutes played. Lee Dong-soo on the counter-attack with Incheon. Kim Bo-sok won the ball back in midfield, spread it out wide to Oh Jae-sok, who played it down the line to Hong Shi-yu. He did well to carry it forward a touch before sending it in towards Lee Dong-soo, who was ready on the edge of the 6-yard box to kind of poke the ball in. That's his first goal since October 2018, when he was playing for Jeju United. Hong Shi-yu's first assist of the year. And you could see it meant to him that he was obviously very pleased and relieved. He was in tears after that one. But Incheon made it 2-0 early in the second period. 50 minutes played. Kim Min-sok, some tiny passing work in and around the edge of the box. The ball made its way over to Oh Jae-sok, who looked up and sent in a cross right-footed towards the edge of the 6-yard box, where Kim Min-sok was waiting to head past Kim Dong-jun. Oh Jae-sok's first assist of the season in only his second start, having been out injured for most of the campaign. You can definitely see the difference that he makes when he's in there, that experienced right wing back. 3-0. The third goal came just 9 minutes later. Hong Shi-yu provided a turn scorer for that one. Incheon again on the counter-attack. Looked very dangerous on the counter, has to be said. Kim Min-sok plays a lovely through ball into Hong, who had a stroke of luck, it must be said at this point. Kim Dong-jun came out over-committing. This was the Kim Dong-jun that we saw a lot at Daejeon last year in K-League 2. A lot of needless errors and a bit erratic at times. In the end, Hong had an empty goal to roll the ball into, but it was a great run to read the pass, and the pass was superb as well. Now, Jeju pulled one back a minute later. Seo Jin-soo, another great ball is from Lee Chang-min from deep, a bit deeper than the Incheon goal for 3-0. But nice first-time finish from Seo Jin-soo, but the scoring end there. Incheon passed the ball very well. Having the two wing-backs back fit again, Oh Jae-sok and Lee Ju-young on loan from Jeonbuk, of course. They both played very well. Yoram was back too, having been out injured. And that was Incheon's first win in 6 and puts them 4 points ahead of Jeju in 4th place and just 3 behind Pohang, who, of course, they play next. Jeju, nothing seemed to go well. They couldn't handle Incheon's pace on the counter. And, that's pretty much where we would wrap up the action from Tuesday into Wednesday. FC Seoul 1, Gimcheon 1. You were there, Matthew. What was that like?
I was there. In fact, I've only just got back in 20 minutes ago from that match. Yeah, it was, it started off with an early goal. Seoul on the front foot. Kim Shin-jin with the tidy finish after Seoul were able to work their way into the box. The chance looked to have gone as no one seemed to want to get the ball under control, but Kim found the bottom corner for his 3rd goal of the season and his first since August. And yet, if you think Seoul about for pointless passing, it felt like Gimcheon had no idea what to do with possession in that first half. Lots of passing along the back with no real progression forward. But you think Seoul with a team that was a goal down, such was the lack of urgency about Gimcheon in that first half. However, Gimcheon have been a second half side in recent weeks, and so it proved. The 61st minute, Lee Young-jae found the equaliser with a strong effort from the edge of the area. Took a bit of a deflection, well, sizable really, on the way in to divert it off Yang Hanbin's path, but he wouldn't care one bit. There's a quick sub for Seoul as well. That quick sub nearly reaped immediate dividends with Ilyachenko holding up play in the box to bring in, I believe it's to bring in Kim Jin-ya, who spurned his shot wide despite it looking easier to score. Kim was quickly replaced by Ki Sung-young, though not due to his miss, but Ki was actually getting warmed up and he was already waiting. Gimcheon did hit the post, it should be said. Lee Young-jae at it again, receiving the ball in the penalty box and letting fly, but hitting Yang Han-bin's far post. The result almost secures Seoul's safety thanks to results elsewhere, which we're going to get into, making it 5 points clear with 2 to play. Those 2 games being the already relegated Songnam and an already saved Suwon FC, it does allow manager Anik Soo to focus on the larger task of overcoming Jeonbuk in the FA Cup final and turning a disappointing season into one of success. Gimcheon, meanwhile, are 6 points adrift, but do have better goals scored record than FC Seoul. So, perhaps.
You never know.
You never know. Anyway, after the game, I did catch up with Osmar and to get his thoughts on the game and the FA Cup. So, take it away, Osmar. All right, so Osmar, it was a decent first half performance today. Not so much in the second half. What do you think went wrong today?
Well, we have to be aware that the opponent also plays. They have their plan. Maybe today their plan was better than ours, and they executed in a better way. I think we tried to do our thing, our style, but maybe it was the tiredness or again the opponent. Sometimes they have better plan than ours, and we have to admit that's it. It's not I don't think it's anything weird.
Yeah. It does mean Seoul isn't quite safe yet. What lessons do you think the club are learning from the current situation they're in, or do you think this is something that you will be discussing in the off-season?
Well, that is a club thing. I don't know. I'm sure that nobody wants to leave this situation anymore. We've been in the bottom B for so long. I think it's like 5-6 years, or from the last 6-5 or something like this, and we all know how important staying K1 is.
Yes.
For a club like ours, we used to be big. You can see pictures all around, great memories, few trophies. So this is not a good situation for us, and yeah, we have to be aware of that and let the club do their job when they finish. We are trying to do ours. I know it wasn't the best one or the one that we all wanted. Hopefully we cannot suffer much these last couple games, and maybe we can give the fans something in the FA Cup.
Yeah, well,
even if you don't like it.
Well, I was about to mention the FA Cup. You are in the FA Cup. Congratulations. It's still a chance to save the season, perhaps still a chance to get silverware. Jeonbuk in the final as well, perhaps a little bit like 2016. Are you looking forward to facing Jeonbuk, or would you have preferred Ulsan?
I don't know what to say, to be honest. They are the 2 best teams in Korea. I like to play against Jeonbuk, yes, of course. It will be, for both clubs, for both teams, it will be the chance to get something out of this bad season. Worse for us than for them, but they are used to get the trophy, raise it, and they will not this year, probably. I don't think they will. So it's the chance to get something for them as well. We know it's going to be tough, and well, double game final, always tricky. Let's see how it goes, but first we need to focus first on the league and don't leave it to the last game.
Okay. Well, it's getting late, so I'll let you get back on the bus. But best of luck for Sunday, and speak to you again soon.
Thank you.
Well, Osmar sounds like a broken man, to be honest with you. He sounds a bit fed up. Yeah. I mean, that might be why it took so long for him to come out after the game, Matthew, because you were waiting in the mix zone for about 45 minutes, it sounded like.
I was still at 10:20. I finally spoke to Osmar.
And the game finished at 9:24.
9:24 is when I posted a tweet at full time, so just before then. So nearly an hour after the game, I finally got through to the play. But there was at the time, no players had come out And then Gimcheon still hadn't come out by the time I'd left, so no idea what Kim Tae-wan was saying to them after the game. But
They're all
certainly
doing
taking a long
laps or
time.
something. They're all just
Probably.
running around or cleaning their boots with a toothbrush or something like that. I don't know.
I like to think they had seen me in the mix zone and they were just
Yeah.
cowering
Yeah.
with the hard hitting questions I was bound to be asking them. But yeah, no. So there for a while in the mix zone, but got some good quotes from Osmar there.
Indeed, yeah. Well, speaking of fed up, Suwon Blue Wings fans will be fed up as well after today's result. They lost 2-1 at home to Daegu FC. This was a good game. I had this on at work, and it was a very, very good game. Two teams that felt a bit of desperation, you might say. Daegu thought they had a pen in the 6th minute. The referee had to think about it, but decided it wasn't a foul. The goal did come eventually on the 20th minute. Go Jae-hon, Cezinia picked up the ball. He kind of pickpocketed the Suwon defender, laid it out wide to Go Jae-hon, who drilled it into the corner. Great finish. We've seen him score this exact same goal, I think 3 or 4 times this season already. Great season he's having. Great goal, another one. But then 6 minutes into the second half, Am Byung-jun equalised for the Blue Wings. A corner from the left and a bullet header from 6 yards out. Suwon almost condemned to the relegation playoffs at this point in the game because of Seoul winning 1-0 and because of they were 1-0 down, but An Byung-jun kept them alive momentarily. But Daegu, they kind of took control of the game a little bit, but they thought they'd have given away a penalty because Jo Jin-woo dived, actually. He dived looking for a pen in the 64th minute. He showed great footwork to turn away from his man, and he could have had a shot, but he decided to throw himself to the ground. The ref had him listen to his mate over in the VAR van, and something happened. Maybe there was a gesture that the camera didn't pick up or something, but Suwon players seemed to think that he'd given a pen. So Daegu were furious. There's a bit of a melee towards the touchline. The ref has to have words with the Daegu manager. It took a while for it all to calm down. In the end, no pen. So I'm not sure what had happened there. But Daegu did eventually get a goal. They got the winning goal. It was Hong Chul who whipped in a nice ball in towards Azenia, who headed home, and he scored his 11th goal of the season. And really, they're not safe mathematically, but they are up to 8th, 6 points clear of the relegation zone with 2 games left. But because of their superior goals scored record, they've scored 47 compared to Suwon's 38. Basically, they are, you could say 7 points clear, but a point in the next game seals it for the Blue Wings, though. They are now 5 points adrift of safety and look almost certain to be heading into the relegation playoffs. Unthinkable, really, but that's the way it is. And it's going to be a big week ahead for them. But that wasn't it. There was more action coming up there on Wednesday night. Suwon FC against Songnam FC.
Yeah, this was, Suwon FC, obviously, now safe. They were very close to safety anyway. And Songnam, already relegated, had the possibility of being a dead rubber, but didn't turn out to be as such. Kim Gun-ung got an early goal 2 minutes in this game as well. Pounced on a loose ball after Lars' shot was parried away by the goalkeeper. Songnam did find an equaliser after a bit of pressure. Yeah, Songnam level through Yuin Soo. He was in acres of space in the penalty box, but yeah, great, good finish for him. Lars Veldwijk, he scored the winner in the 54th minute. It was a looping header from around 10 yards out. The cross came in, but it wasn't dealt with by the keeper, who tried to punch it, and Lars headed the loose ball. He always had to head it backwards with the back of his head, actually, to get it in. But yeah, Songnam were good in this match, but perhaps the having the spectre of relegation lifted from their shoulders now that the fate is sealed. They played really well, but yeah, Suwon are safe, 10 points clear of their neighbours, Suwon Blue Wings.
Right, indeed, yes. Well, let's have a quick break, and then when we come back, we'll look ahead to K-League 1 round 37, including the Futbology match of the round. Stay tuned.
Futbology is a football app like no other. With the handiest tool for football fans on your phone, you can locate any match nearby no matter where on the planet you are or plan to be. Keep track of all your visited games, collect all kinds of stats, and get badges for achievements like special games and milestone events. The Futbology app covers more than 80,000 grounds and 1,200 leagues worldwide, including K-League 1 and 2, as well as K3 and K4 and the WK League. Download Futbology for free today on iPhone or Android. Connect with your friends, and your football life will never be the same again.
All right, welcome back to the K-League United podcast. We should probably begin, actually, with what's still to be decided in K-League 1 heading into the penultimate round this weekend. 10th and 11th, still not decided. ACL, of course, third place and fourth place, and of course the small matter of the title, which could be decided. There's also the Golden Boot. The contenders for that are Jimin Yu, Cho Song, Lee Sung-woo, and Mado Barrow. The top assister award still there, not decided. Iki Jae, Shin Jin-ho, and Kim Dae-won, you would say, are the front runners for that one. Then there's a clean sheet record as well. Song Bum-kun, Choi Hyun-woo, Kim Dong-hun. You might even say Yu Sang-hoon and Oh Sung-hoon, maybe, but there's still a lot to be decided, and something might get decided in round 37.
Yeah, all games are taking place on the same day for round 37 as well, Sunday, the 16th of October, starting with the Futbology match of the round, Paul.
Yes, Gangwon FC versus Ulsan Hyundai at 2 o'clock. Simply put, Ulsan get a point in this one, and the title is secured. And I think it'll be interesting to see which centre-forward Hong Young-bo starts this game with. Martin Adams started against Pohang on Tuesday, but came off for Leonardo. That role's been reversed a few times. They've both had to sort of one will start, try and sort of, I don't know, plan A, and that doesn't work. They'll move to plan B. But even though they only need to get a point, I still think that they will approach this game like any other. They want to attack and get the job done and do it in style. I think we'll probably see Onwon Sang come off the bench again, probably in place of Che Gi-yoon. And given who they're playing, I think Gangwon will probably be in a 5-3-2 again, like they were against Jeonbuk earlier in the week. And I think also I think they'll probably go with Martin Adam up front, Ulsan, because Gangwon are fourth for aerial duels in terms of total and success. So you probably think they go for him with that physical presence. In terms of personnel, suspensions-wise, Amano June, he's obviously still out. He's not back until round 38. And also, Jung Sung-hyun, the centre-back, is out. He got a booking in that last game. There are some players who are one yellow card away from a one-match ban. Leonardo being one. He's on 7 yellow cards at the moment. And for Gangwon, Yoon Suk-young and Jung Sung-young are both on 4. So that's the game. Pretty much very simple. Ulsan get a point and they win. The game's in Chuncheon Songnam Sports Town, as the stadium is called. Now, to get there from Seoul, if you will, is there's a few ways you can get there. The best is probably the ITX train from Yongsan Station, which takes just over an hour and costs about 10,000 won. Chuncheon is actually on the subway network, though. Even though it's in Gangwon-do province, it is on the subway network. It takes about 2 hours from central Seoul.
I've done both.
You've done both?
Games, and I strongly recommend the ITX for the sake of an extra $5. It's very much worth the comfort and the time.
There we go. And then from Chuncheon Station, the number 16 bus will take you to the stadium. It's about 40 minutes according to the maps, but a taxi costs about 7,000 won and will take about 10 minutes. So probably best to do that. Chuncheon, the city, is of course known for takgalbi, which is a type of like spicy chicken stir fry kind of thing. It's very good. Highly recommend it. If you haven't had it and you are in Chuncheon, that is a place to be. It's also the hometown of Sonongmin, and there's like a mural located on Palho Square or Palho Gwangjang. So if you head over there, you'll be able to see that. So if you do go, check those out. And of course, make sure you check in using the Futbology app. You can see who else has checked in as well. Now, so far, I looked earlier, and the user Lucas1214 has been there the most with just 3 visits. So, I mean, if you go there regularly, make sure you check in, and you'll be the sort of the top fan of that stadium. There are some familiar names on the list too. There's Luke Evans and Michael Redmond. They've checked in at that stadium fairly recently. And you can, of course, upload photographs, collect badges. And if you check in on the birthday of a football legend, there's something for that as well.
Indeed. Elsewhere in Final A, though, this weekend, Jeju United are taking on Jeonbuk Hyundai Motors. This is actually the game we're covering on commentary duty at Paul, and the title could still be up for grabs when we take the reins on this one, or it might not be. We could have 2 very different openings to this game.
Yeah.
But yes, if Ulsan get a point against Gangwon, then this will be meaningless for Jeonbuk. But for Jeju, this is all about trying to finish 4th, as they are just 4 points behind Incheon. Jeju have to win this match, otherwise it's 5th at best, and ACL. No ACL rather for this season.
Yeah.
So it's just 1 win in 5 for Jeju though, and 2 in 10. They've petered out a lot since their early form this season. Jeonbuk, it's only 1 loss in 5. Obviously, it was that loss, a loss that we'll be talking about for a long time. It's also 2 in 10 with 5 victories, and you could even say that they've won the last 5 if you put the FA Cup semi-final in there. They are informed, Jeonbuk, and if Ulsan give them the slightest hope possible, you do have to think that they will come out all guns blazing against Jeju. If Ju Min-kyu scores or gets an assist as well, that'll be his 150th combined goals and assists in K-League, so one to watch out for there, as well as extending his lead at the top of the Golden Boot leaderboard. Suspensions. Well, Hong Jong-ho is still suspended, so expect Koo Jae-rong to likely step back in, especially after scoring at the weekend. One booking away, well, Joseph Fernandez and Lee Chang-min from Jeju could miss the last game if they see yellow on Sunday. Team news, Kim Sang-sik as well can return to the touchline for this one. Modo Barrow is also back from suspension and will look to continue his fine scoring record and his late entry into the Golden Boot race.
Yeah, he's been in great form, Modo Barrow. Let's see. I can probably see him scoring in the FA Cup final. You know, wheeling away in celebration. Thanks,
Indeed.
Pete. Sorry, Pete. All right. The last game of Final A is actually a very big one because it's Incheon United versus Pohang Steelers, and now this has become a bit of a battle for 3rd place. Pohang look like they had it safe, really, but they haven't won yet in Final A. They've lost 2 and drawn 1, and that's opened the door for Incheon to nick 3rd place. Just 3 points separate the two. Now I know that Pohang they've scored more goals. They've scored 50, Incheon 44. And of course, as we know, the tiebreaker in K-League, it is goals scored. So even if Incheon do win, Pohang is still going to stay 3rd because of their goals scored record. But it'll make the last game very, very interesting if Incheon do get a win. And they'll feel like it is very doable. They performed very well against Jeju in midweek. They scored 3 goals in that one. That was for the first time since that 3-3 draw against the Blue Wings in round 31. And first time scoring 3 in a win since round 27 and 28. So last time they did that and won, they did it the week after as well. So let's see what happens. Key men, I would probably pick Hong Shi-yu and Kim Bo-sop for Incheon. For Pohang, you have to wonder where goals are going to come from. Ho Young-jun is their top scorer, but he hasn't found the back of the net since early August. He did get an assist for Go Young-jun in Pohang's most recent win, and that was in round 32, a victory over Suwon. So we'll see. And I'm looking forward to this one. This one starts at 7 p.m. Korea time. So for people watching overseas, it might be a good time for you to sort of watch if you're in GMT or Central European time. In terms of suspensions and whatnot, Delbridge is back. He missed the Jeju game. Now, Jung Hyuk, the midfielder, he's going to retire. This might be his last hurrah, really. Certainly, maybe his last home game. Lee Sung-mo, he's out for Pohang. He's injured. And in terms of one booking away from suspension, Kim Dong-min has got 9 bookings. Kim Jun-yop, 7. They're both for Incheon. And for Pohang, Shin Kwang-hun and Ho Young-jun have both got 7.
All right. Well, into Final B then. And to headline the Final B is the Suwon derby between the Suwon Samsung Blue Wings and Suwon FC. Now, Suwon FC are the team that is safe. And the so-called K-League giants, the K-League heavyweights, the home of football, Suwon Blue Wings, are facing relegation. I'm not smiling.
Staggering.
I'm definitely not smiling.
I'm just laughing at your trying to not sound like you're enjoying it, but you are.
Yeah, well, it's going to be interesting because obviously Suwon FC, they don't really need to play for anything but pride, but obviously getting that last laugh in the Suwon derby should really motivate them in this one. But I think Suwon Blue Wings fighting for their life. I think they'll go all out just to try and get something. It is pretty desperate times though for Suwon Blue Wings. They are 5 points off the pace of FC Seoul, who, as I've mentioned before, have got 2 teams with nothing to play for ahead of them. So I think Suwon Blue Wings can probably get ready for a relegation playoff. There are suspensions though for the weekend. Jong Sung-won is suspended after a 5th booking versus Daegu. And in terms of team news, Oh Hyung-gyu, Lee Jong-sun, both back after 1 match bans.
Which brings us to the last game of the round, FC Seoul versus Songnam at Seoul. This one starts at 7 p.m. And yeah, a win for Seoul really seals safety. A point might even do it, depending on what happens elsewhere. But they're going to have to be a bit more assertive, a bit more aggressive. They've changed their approach to games a little bit. They've gone for a back 3 with wing backs. I'm not sure whether you would say this is true, Matthew, but obviously from what you saw on Wednesday night, but they've been a little bit less tippy-tappy, a bit more direct. But they're going to have their most dangerous players on the pitch. Ilichenko has to start for me. I don't know why he's not starting. Key as well needs to start. And yeah, they're playing bottom of the league who are already relegated. Now, this might seem like a foregone conclusion, but Seoul have struggled against Songnam this season. In fact, there's been 2 games I can recall where they had over 70% possession and still couldn't score earlier in the campaign. So we'll have to see. But they're at home. They've got to get the job done. They'll want to get the job done so they can start looking ahead to the FA Cup final. I know they're going to say, well, we've got one more game in the league still to go. But realistically, once survival is secured, then they can start looking to that cup final and really starting to sort of making sure that they can find a way to beat Jeonbuk. In terms of suspensions, there are none. There are a few players who are very close to one. Key's got 7 bookings. Yoon Jong-gyu 9, Osmar 4, and Im Min-hyuk also 4. For Songnam, Kubon Chol and Park Soo-il, as well as Choi Ji-muk and Jang Hyo-jun are all on 4, while Kim Min-hyuk, the midfielder, number 13, not a centre-back, he's on 9 bookings. So all very, very close. It doesn't really matter, I suppose, for Songnam if they're booked. They start their holiday early, don't they? That's about it, really. But that's it.
Yeah. And, speaking of that, Daegu are safe. Gimcheon need to win. That's the final match. Daegu FC versus Gimcheon Sangmu. There are no suspensions in this one either, Paul, but there are a few people on 1 booking away, which, include Park Ji-soo, Moon Ji-hwan, Keita Suzuki, Kim Jin-hyuk, Park Byung-hyun, Cho Jin-woo, and Cecilia. But yet, it's all on Gimcheon. Just if they want to kind of better their position again, they're not likely to get into the safety positions here. They are 6 points behind Seoul. Yes, they do have a slightly better goal scored, but it would require results to go their way as well. So, yeah, it's about bettering that position, trying to get the team that's going to finish the winner of 3rd, 4th, and 5th in the K-League 2, rather than getting the team that finishes 2nd. Team news for this, there's some team news for Daegu anyway. Zeka is back from suspension after a 1-match ban, but that's about it. Daegu is safe. Gimcheon need to win.
Indeed. Right, let's have a quick break, and then when we come back, we'll look ahead to K-League 2 final day.
FNR is a revolutionary football-dedicated digital platform, the first of its kind in Australia. It provides a 24/7 live online radio platform experience, podcast hub, and acts as a content provider for TV, radio, and digital. Having reached millions of listeners and football fans since launching, FNR is accessible worldwide via its website or app, providing a platform to discuss, debate, and celebrate the world game. We are your voice of football, FNR Football Nation Radio.
All right, welcome back to the K-League United podcast. I'm Paul Neate, and Matthew, can you please remind us of what is still up for grabs in K-League 2 on the final day?
Yeah, there's a number of things up for grabs. There is the small matter of 2nd place. That is the headliner, really, and that will also be the buy into the playoff against 11th in the K-League 1. And then there's the battle for 5th place, the final spot in the 2nd set of playoffs. And then, of course, there's the much coveted wooden spoon.
The wooden spoon. Yeah, I mean, without relegation to the 3rd tier, I think the wooden spoon is probably more embarrassing. Just the fact that you finish bottom of the table, and yeah, I don't know, it's embarrassing. And I know for a fact because we finished there once before. So, well, anyway, speaking of Daejeon, as I was trying to refer to, they are in this battle for 2nd place. They are away to Ansan Greeners on Saturday. Now, they just need to draw against Ansan to get this. They're unbeaten against the Green Wolves this season with 2 wins and a draw, including a win at the WA earlier in the season. Now, a draw. Now, if they draw and Anyang win, that would mean that they are both level on points, but the Purples have scored more goals than the Violets, 68-52. So, like I say, a point seals it. Now, Anyang, of course, they are in a game that's very important, not just for them, but for another team as well, Matthew.
Yes, the other match affecting this is then Gyeongnam versus Anyang. Anyang, they need to win and hope Daejeon slip up. So yeah, this is the K-League 2 match of the round, and more can be read on kleague.com.
Indeed. There's also that match also impacts the race for 5th place, obviously, as Gyeongnam are only 2 points above Chungnam Asan. A draw does it for Gyeongnam. Again, we keep mentioning this, but they've scored more goals than Chungnam Asan, so a draw does it for the Roses.
Indeed. Sorry, Paul. Indeed. Yeah. Speaking of Chungnam Asan, they're at home to champions Gwangju FC, and nothing less than a win will do.
Absolutely right. Let's move on to the wooden spoon. The matches involved in this, well, Bucheon versus Jeonnam and Seoul Eland versus Busan I-Park. Now, Bucheon are in the playoffs. That spot is already secure. They will finish 4th, regardless of what happens in this one at the weekend. But they've lost their last 3 matches, and they need to build up some momentum heading into the playoffs against whoever it is that finishes in 5th. Now, this might help the Dragons, who sit 10th and are looking to avoid the wooden spoon. They are 1 point above 11th, and so need a win to guarantee they don't get the K-League wooden spoon. The Dragons could actually finish in 9th if Ansan Greeners lose to Daejeon and Jeonnam score 3 or more in a win.
Yeah, that's right. Busan and iPark are the team sitting at the bottom of the league at the moment. They're away to Seoul and so have to beat the Leopards if they're to stand any chance of moving up. The Leopards could move up to 6 if they win, and Cheongnam Asan lose to Gwangju as they have a much better goals scored tally. That's 46 goals to 39.
Indeed. Gimpo not in action this weekend. They finished 8th in the table in what was obviously their first season in K-League 2. 10 wins, 11 draws, and 19 losses, 39 goals scored, 65 against. Not a bad first season. Better than Ansan Greeners. Better than two very big clubs in the Dragons and Busan iPark. Then, Matthew, there are also the other races, individual races as well, goal scorer, assists, and clean sheets and whatnot.
Yeah, for goals, it's down to Yu Kang-hyun of Asan, who has 19, and Thiago from Gyeongnam, who has 18. Yu has scored once against Gwangju this season, so he'll be looking to do that again. Likewise, Thiago has scored one against Anyang this season, so he'll be hoping he can find a couple or more to claim this golden boot. Interestingly, both games were 3-2 defeats, though.
There we go. And for assists, well, it's down to Acosti from Anyang. He's on 11, and Lee Utum from Gwangju on 10. Acosti hasn't picked up any assists against Gyeongnam this season. Lee Utum has assisted one for Gwangju against Asan, though, so we'll see how that plays out. Clean sheets, Matthew?
Yeah, Jong Min-ki from Anyang is on 17. Kim Kyung-min from Gwangju is on 16. So it's down to those two, basically. It could end up being shared.
All right, well, that is all we have time for this week. A quick reminder about our Patreon. We have all kinds of stuff up on there at the moment, including the latest behind-the-scenes commentary video with picture-in-picture and highlights. You can only find that on patreon.com/K-League United. The playoffs are coming up soon, and so we'll be hitting the interviews pretty hard for that. And Patreon is where you'll find full video versions of the interviews as well as other bits and pieces. A huge thank you to those who have already signed up. And, well, you can support us for as cheap as $1 a month, but the good stuff starts at $3.
Indeed. And it's World Cup season very soon, so if you're looking to get kitted out with some retro or classic shirts, then head over to Classic Football Shirts by clicking the link in the description of this episode and use KLU10 at the checkout to get 10% discount on your order. There's career shirts on there, so well, you just bought one, didn't you, Paul?
I did. It's the 2014 shirt that I lost in a few years ago. I wanted to replace. So, yeah, I wanted to find a decent one on Classic Football Shirts, but there are some other South Korea shirts on there, some ones that are a bit pricey for me, but they look very interesting. There are some quite interesting K-League gems on there as well, a very rare Nike Busan iPark shirt, and a Hummel Gwangju Sangmu shirt, which is... Actually, there's quite a few on there, including a white one, and I am very tempted. But... if you do want to buy anything from Classic Football Shirts, click the referral link and then use KLU10 to get 10% discount. Well, that's it. Thank you very much for tuning in. From Paul Newton and Matthew Binns, chat you all soon. See you soon.
Gimcheon Sangmu.